Mining Weekly Online is talking to Paul Thomson, the CEO of DRA, one of our major project companies which has been going now for 30 years. Paul, can you give us a few highlights of these 30 years?
Well, it started off back in 1984 when our founders decided to go their own way, and with very little backing and with a meagre start, their first job was an electrical review of about 800 rands worth. They went from strength to strength after that, through some very tough times. Just as they started expanding, there was a downturn, and really it was the ability to get through the tough times that saw them through, taking salary cuts, working limited hours, really putting their own personal lives on the line, that set the basis, that positioned the company to be able to move on. And they started with a number of things. They started with coal, and it was small coal, brownfield type jobs, repairing, additions. Then they got their first coal project, and then later they moved into chrome. They started diversifying. They realized in the early days, you've got to have a wide spread of skills and in the commodities. So they moved on. They moved into platinum, and Lonman gave them a start in the platinum industry. And from there, we've become we are the biggest platinum concentrate designer. We've done most of the platinum concentrators in the world. We've now got gold capability, iron ore capability, and it's really adjusting to your environment and looking at the commodities that are out there and getting those skills in-house that allow you to ride through the dips now. So we're a lot more resilient than we were back in the early days. We've got a lot more experience and a larger portfolio of commodities that we can deliver on.
What sort of cycle are we in at the moment?
We're starting to come out of a dip. We've actually seen an increase in the number of studies that people are asking for. We've been awarded a number of studies, and studies are always a precursor to the job. We're actually in a recruiting phase now. We're actually starting to take people on board, which are all very positive signs. Well, we offer a complete mining solution to the mining industry. Some people only want a portion of our offering, and we do offer that. But we've got everything from capabilities in shafts, headgears, winders, mine planning, mine optimization, shaft development, through to processing plants, even operations and maintenance with our subsidiary company Minipex. So we've got the complete spectrum. We offer a pit-to-port solution. We've got the infrastructure around the mine as well. Recently in Kibali, we've actually just completed their first hydroelectric plant, and we're busy managing the construction of the next two hydroelectric plants for Kibali. So we've moved a lot into infrastructure. The limiting factor in all of the West African projects, and most projects in Africa, is infrastructure. How do you get the equipment to the mine? And then how do you develop a sustainable community around the mine? Because mines are often in remote areas. So there are things like towns, roads, bridges, sewage plants, water treatment plants, everything associated with operating a city. DRA can actually deliver. We've got offices in Perth and in Toronto, and those offices draw on the top engineering skills we have here in Johannesburg, but it's done at South African rates. So they can pass that advantage on to the clients in those regions and then give them an Africa solution. The other advantage we have by doing it that way is that we can enable funding for the clients by utilizing ECIC credit funding and insurance and so on. So those export initiatives that the government has put in place are actually helping us as a company to be able to deliver jobs for our clients. There's a number of incentives. The one is really on the study side, where if a study comes out of South Africa, the government is quite prepared to fund the money for that, depending if the procurement takes place within South Africa. And we find the earlier you get into a project, the more chance you have of securing that project later when it comes down to construction or a BFS or a feasibility study or whatever the case is. So getting in as early as possible for us is key. There's a lot of competition, and a lot of people are seeing the opportunities in Africa that we are seeing, and it's causing a change in our business and in our business environment. That's why you've seen the acquisitions of a lot of our competitors. It's simply for that reason. Large infrastructure companies are buying this minerals capability so they can target the large infrastructure projects and metals projects or minerals projects in the West African regions or wherever you need to put infrastructure in to get the minerals out. We would prefer to stay relatively small in comparison to those guys, independent and flexible enough to work with any of them on any of the projects. And we want to stay pure with the engineering side of it. And for me, it's all about the engineering. That's where the passion is we're going to have to partner a lot more with more people. As the projects get bigger, you need bigger balance sheets. You're going to get a lot more consortium type business taking place, especially in the West African region, where you're going to have 3 or 4 or 5 partners, probably together with government, to be able to deliver a project. We've got 3,000 people in our business, 3,000 plus, the majority of which are on our operations team, but we've got 1,200 engineers, engineering related people that are there focused on the engineering around a project, not the construction or anything else, just the engineering smarts.
And the operational side of it, which you mentioned here, what form does that take?
The operations is a company called Minipex. They do outsourced operations and maintenance of mineral processing plants and the surrounding infrastructure. And it is a very good annuity business. It's one of those things that differentiates us from our competitors, is that we have this feedback loop on our designs. It helps us continually improve. And it also gives us a real feel of what works and what doesn't. Now, some engineers have actually never worked in a plant, but if you've got an operating pool there that's actually feeding you this information back and saying, this doesn't work, or it'll be better if we do it this way, it gives you a huge advantage. And also in terms of offering some of the junior miners. Often a junior miner is a geologist and accountant that know precious little about mining, mine scheduling, planning, operations, processing. So we can supplement their skills by giving them an outsourced solution, and they don't have to worry about the mine per se. They have to worry about maximizing the value of their resource and maximizing the sale of their product. And the rest is taken care of. Roughly 35% of our revenue comes from our operations business.
And when we say operations, we're looking at outsourcing. If I'm a coal miner and I operate my own coal mine, I might decide, no, I want to outsource this to Minipex. And then I come along to you and you actually run the place.
We'll run it, we'll do your procurement for you, we'll plan your maintenance, your engineering, and we'll have performance measures in terms of engineering plant availability, utilization, all of those things. We've consolidated and re-engineered our business over the last 6 months to be able to have an engineering company and a projects company rather than specifically DRA mining, DRA mineral projects, DRA winders and so on. So we've changed our offering. So yes, it's the engineering is the one component, and then the operations is the subcomponent of that. And the engineering covers the whole spectrum of the mining industry, from shafts or from concept, from drill results, actually as far back as that, all the way through to mine closure.
That was Mining Weekly Online, talking to Paul Thomson, the CEO of DRA Group, which is celebrating 30 years of service this year.